please do yourself a favor. Take that rulebook you're holding and just rip it to pieces. You don't need to spend your time reading it because that's why I exist. I'm Ryan from How I Roll, and in this Rip Up the Rules, I'm going to teach you how to set up and play Towers of Sifnos. Towers of Sifnos is designed by Shem Phillips and S.J. McDonald, and it's published by Garphill Games as part of their Ancient Anthology series. It's a strategic engine building game for 1 to 4 players, and it clocks in at around an hour and a half. There's always room at the table for you, so come grab a seat because we're about to build some towers, muster some soldiers, and hopefully not let pirates ruin our mineral empire. Let's go. Ever found yourself sitting around thinking, I wonder what it would have been like to be a tower architect in ancient Greece? Well, now's your chance to find out. After the Samian invasion, the people of Sifnos built a network of beacon towers to warn against sea raiders and protect their rich gold, silver, and lead mines. In this game, you're an ancient Greek commander, racing to expand your influence over these minerals, construct towers and forts, place defensive tents, and fend off pirate invasions. Think you've got what it takes to stop the pirates from stealing your precious minerals? Let's find out. Here's how you set up the game. Place the main board in the center of the table. Mix the scoring tiles and randomly place 1 more than the number of players here. So since I'm setting up for a 3-player game, I've placed 4. Mix the 6 mineral markers, 2 each of lead, silver, and gold, and randomly place 1 on each matching outline on the board. Shuffle all 108 cards into a face-down draw pile at the bottom left. Draw and place 1 card per player in these spaces here. Mix 2 lead, 2 silver, and 2 gold ships in the bag. Draw and place 1 ship on each frontmost ship space around the island, which are all marked with the any one influence icon. Put 1 ally ship, which is orange, in the bag, plus 1 of each mineral ship type per player. Return any leftover mineral ships to the box. Keep the bag of ships handy. Place the invasion marker nearby. Now give each player a player board along with the following components. 1 of each influence marker, lead, gold, and silver, which they place on space 0 of their influence track. 1 ally ship placed above the number of players on the influence track, and the following components in their selected color. 20 tower tokens placed by their board, along with all of their dice. 6 beacons randomly placed face up on these spaces. 6 forts randomly placed face up on these spaces. 5 soldiers on these matching outlines in the barracks, and 6 tents covering these spaces. Finally, deal each player a setup aid card at random, or 2 per player in a 2-player game. Now players each place the dice and towers depicted on their unique setup cards onto the appropriate spots of the board. Next, flip all the towers face down and mix them up. Each player takes 2 at random and places them face up into their supply, which is this part of their player board. Everyone also rolls 2 dice and puts them here as well. And that's pretty much it for setup. There's just one final step. First, randomly select a starting player, then in clockwise order resolve the starting effects which are listed on the back of these setup aids. First player draws 3 cards to their hand from the main deck. The second draws 4 cards and moves 1 soldier to their supply. The third player receives the same, plus they get to add 1 die to their workshop. And the fourth player receives exactly the same as the third, but they get to draw 6 cards. And if you're playing a 2-player game, the first player gets their normal benefits, but the second player takes the third player benefits instead of the second. You're now done with these setup cards and you can remove them from the game, because now we're ready to get playing. Towers of Sifnos is played by players taking their turns moving in clockwise order around the table. This will continue on and on until one of the 2 endgame conditions is met. These are placing the 3rd ally ship on the board, or if the bag of ships is empty when you need to draw one. At this point, players will add up their scores and see who wins. Before we dive into how a turn works, I want to first explain one key concept. This game centers around 3 minerals. These are lead, gold, and silver. On your player board, you'll be tracking your influence in each of these on this track here. Anytime you gain an influence in one of these 3, simply move that tracker 1 space forward. We'll come back to this later, but let me quickly highlight the 3 triggers that happen during the game from advancing on these tracks. The moment your first mineral marker moves into this ally ship space, add that ship to the bag of ships. And spaces 3 and 5 offer you a benefit when a specific marker hits that space. You'll remember that during setup, we randomly distributed 2 of each type of mineral to the main board. This offers each game some variety and impacts the effect of each type. And this area lets you know which mineral will trigger the bonus at space 3 and which one will do so at space 5. So in my current setup, when any player's gold influence marker reaches 3, they immediately get to take one of these face-up cards and place it in their player area for free. And when any player's silver influence reaches 5, they choose and take one of the available scoring tiles, placing it in this space of their player board and resolving the immediate effect listed on its left. These benefits won't make much sense right now, but we'll come back to that. And the last thing about the mineral types is that all of the cards in this game fall under these 3 types as well. There are lead, silver, and gold cards, which is depicted in the top left corner of each card. With that in mind, let's take a look at how a turn actually works. Your player board has a really cool layout where the top of it actually walks you through the structure of a turn. On your turn, you will go through these actions in order. First, prepare, then take 2 of the main actions, which are invest, construct, and muster, and then you'll defend and finally recoup. Once that's done, it's the next player's turn. The main engine building mechanic in this game is that you have the ability to play cards above each of these actions in order to strengthen it, discount it, or gain other benefits. The cards share the same name as that action they are bolstering, so whenever you place a card, you simply slide it into the column with the same name. For example, if I were playing this muster card, it would go here. Whenever you take an action, you can trigger any and all of the available options listed on the board and place cards in that column that you would like. Walking through these actions and what each of its icons means will pretty much explain the rest of the game. So let's dive in, and I'm going to take you through this board one action at a time. First off, prepare. Every turn begins here, and it's an opportunity to set you up for a successful turn. The base prepare action offers you 2 options. The first one with this red arrow means that you can place a card, and when a card icon has all 3 minerals represented, it means it can be any color. So for this action, I can place 1 card in its respective column on my player board. And whenever you place a card, you get to move your influence up 1 space in its mineral category. Now the cost of playing a card is the number in the top left corner. This cost has to be paid by discarding that number of cards of the same mineral type. So to play this invest card, I would need to pay 3 silver cards from my hand, which I place in the discard pile here, and then I would tuck it into the invest column and also gain 1 silver influence. The other option for prepare is to discard any card to increase or decrease the value of one of your dice by 1 that is either in your supply or workshop. And no, you can't increase a 6 to a 1 or decrease a 1 to a 6. It doesn't wrap around like that. There are a few different cards that you can play in the prepare column that have various effects. I'll go over those now. First off, this card simply allows you to place an additional card during the prepare phase, but you still have to pay for it. This effect lets you change the value of a die, just like the one on your player board, but there's no cost for this one. Any cards that have these icons give you discounts when placing cards of that mineral type. For example, this card gives you a discount of 1 card that you need to pay when placing a gold card, and this one does the same for silver. And this card gives you a discount of gold and lead, but you have to discard a silver card to activate it. These discounts can be stacked and combined, but each discount can only be applied once toward 1 card, and not to each card if you're placing more than 1. And lastly, this effect allows you to discard any card to change a die value and also to move 1 soldier. We'll circle back to how you move soldiers when we look at the muster action. Here's an example of what a prepare action could look like during the game. I've got 2 abilities that let me place a card. I want to place this Recoup card, which goes right into the Recoup column here. It's a gold card with a cost of 3. Now this card gives me a discount of 1 when I place a gold card, and this card, if I discard a silver card, such as this card, it gives me another discount of gold and lead. So I discard that silver card, and it brings the cost of playing this Recoup card down to 1 gold card, which I discard as well. This gains me 1 gold influence. Since I'm allowed to place a second card, I decide to place this Construct card in the Construct column here. It has a cost of 2 lead, but remember I discarded a silver card, so I get a discount of 1 lead. So all I have to discard is 1 lead card in order to build it. This gives me 1 lead influence as well. I can use this card to change the value of a die in my workshop or my supply, so I change this 3 to a 2. I have these 2 abilities left, which each cost me a card. I'm going to skip this one for this round, but for this one I can discard any 1 card in order to change the value of one of my dice and also to move a soldier. I'm going to move a soldier from my barracks to my supply. Once you've completed your prepare action, you now choose 2 different major actions to execute. The options are invest, construct, and muster. Regardless of which 2 you choose, both of them have to target the same region on the map. But what's a region, Ryan? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Come take a look at the map. The map is comprised of 7 provinces, each of which is a different color. All of these provinces are further divided into 3 regions that each have a number on them. The only exception is this central province, which only has 1 region and no number. So once you have your single desired region in mind, you can begin your 2 major actions, which I'll go over now. And I'm actually going to go out of order and begin with muster, because I'm crazy like that. This is where you get to put your soldiers to work. This basic action here offers you 3 choices signified by these slashes, and you're only allowed to choose one of them. These options are move a soldier, place a soldier, or remove a soldier to place a fort. This first icon is the move soldier action, which we saw in one of the prepare cards earlier. With moving a soldier, you have 2 options. You can either move one soldier from your barracks to your supply so it's now available for use, or you can move one of your soldiers that's already on the map to an adjacent region. Remember how I just said everything has to happen in a single region? Well, I'm already contradicting myself because soldiers kind of break these rules a bit. You can actually choose any soldier you have on the map and move them one space. This central region's icon signifies that any number of soldiers can be here. However, in any other region, there can only ever be 1 soldier maximum. So you can never move your soldier into a region where you already have one. And if you move into a region with an opponent soldier, you have to give them 1 card from your hand, and then you both lose your soldier back to your barracks. It's kind of a kamikaze mission. There's a reminder of this right here on the main board. To place a soldier, take a soldier from your supply and place it in the active region. Or if you can't or don't want to, you can place it in the central region instead. The central region can become a bit of a soldier mosh pit over time. Just remember that besides the central region, you can't place a soldier in a region that already has a soldier in it. And the third option is to remove a soldier to place a fort. As long as there isn't already a fort there, simply take your soldier from the active region, return it to the barracks, and choose any one of these square fort tokens to place. Immediately gain the benefit pictured on the fort and then place it face down, covering the number in that region. These forts and these beacons, which we'll cover later, give you various benefits such as drawing cards and moving soldiers. Whenever you see this icon, you gain a bump on that mineral's influence track, and if it shows all 3 colors, you move up on the track of your choice. To take the other action printed on your player board, you discard any silver card and then gain 2 soldier movement, which you can split up or spend on 1 soldier, or you can place a soldier on the map. With those base actions explained, let me show you the card effects that can be added to muster. This card gives you a free soldier movement, while this card allows you to move a soldier by discarding any card. These cards let you discard a specific color of card to place a soldier, and this card is a passive ability that means that every time you place a fort, you get to draw a card. And these last 2 card types allow you to move a ship either by discarding a certain card type or as a bonus when you place a fort. Put on your sailor's cap and let me show you how moving a boat works. Whenever you move a boat, you can select any boat on the board and move it 1 section in a clockwise direction around the board, skipping any sections that are full. And boats always fill the frontmost spaces of their section. So if I move this boat, it would end up here and I would slide these boats forward to fill the gaps. Now that we've covered all of that, you're probably a professional musterer. That's difficult to say, but just in case, here's an example action. First off, I'll use this free movement to take a soldier from my barracks and place it into my supply. I could place a soldier on the map for free, but I want to save this action for later, so instead I can discard a silver card or a lead card. I've got a lot of lead cards, so I'll discard this card to place this soldier on the active region. I'm actually going to skip this action for this round, and now I'm going to use this action to turn that soldier I just placed into a fort. I return the soldier to my barracks, and I choose this fort, which lets me immediately draw 1 card. I then place it in the active region, face down, covering the number. Since I placed a fort, both of these cards trigger, granting me 2 ship movements, which I could apply to a single ship or split across 2 ships. I think I'll move this ship 2 spaces. Let's dig into the invest actions next. This is where you get to make use of the island's rich minerals in order to ultimately build great buildings in your cities. Your player board grants you these 2 options. The first one has familiar icons, showing that you can discard a gold card to gain 2 plus or minus changes to your dice. You can apply these to the same die or split them up across 2 dice. And this action lets you place a single die from your supply into the active region. A few rules about this. First, there can only ever be 1 die in a region, so you can't place one if there's already one there. And if the region doesn't have a fort built, the die you place must match the number in that region. Simply put that die on top of the printed number. If it does have a fort built, the die can be any number and goes on top of the fort. You can freely use your own forts, but if it's an opponent's fort, you have to pay them 1 card as noted here on the main board. I guess that's the price to pay for prime real estate these days. And now here's how the available card effects impact the invest action. These cards are passive effects that trigger anytime you place a die on a fort. This one lets you move a soldier, and this one lets you place a soldier. These cards are passive effects that are triggered anytime a province gains either its first or second die, and these can be triggered by any player. When the first die is placed into any province on the board, this card gains you a card to your hand, and this one lets you place a soldier in that same region or in the central region. If a province receives its second die, this card gains you a card, and this card lets you move any 1 ship. Here's what this action might look like during a game. I'm going to start with this action so I can discard this gold card to change this 5 in my workshop to a 3. Next, I'll use this action to place this 4 in my supply into the active region. Since I placed the die on a fort, it triggers this ability and this ability. I don't have any available soldiers in my supply to place, so I'll trigger this one first and take one from my barracks and place it into my supply. Then I'll trigger this to place that same soldier in the active region. And lastly, since this was the second die placed into the province, I get to draw a card. And finally, let's talk about constructing. I mean, what good are all these minerals and soldiers if you can't build any cool stuff? This construct action allows you to put one of the available towers on your supply on one of the 4 tower spaces surrounding the active region. A few rules about placing these towers. First, you can only place one in a space where you don't already have one, so you can never have 2 in the same space. You can, however, place one where opponents have towers by placing yours on top. This third reminder on the board tells you that when you place on top of an opponent's tower, you have to pay them 2 cards from your hand. You can also never place a tower on top of a beacon. And lastly, the tower you place has to match the symbol of the space you're putting it on, with one exception. This action gives you the ability when you're placing a tower to place a different symbol if you discard a lead card. The image on the top of your tower becomes the new symbol for that space. Now, this game is called Towers of Sifnos, which I'm hoping you still remember at this point in the video. These towers aren't just for show, but they were the ancient Greeks' way of communicating and warning of incoming attacks, but only because they had beacons built on top of them. So completing your towers by building beacons is one of the most exciting parts of this game. Immediately when you place your 4th tower around any region, regardless of whether or not your other towers are on top or not, you get to place a beacon. Simply take any one of your beacon tokens, gain the mineral influence pictured on it, turn it over, and place it on top of any of the 4 towers surrounding that region that doesn't have a beacon and where your tower is on the top. And you have successfully fueled the communication system of Sifnos. It's kind of like inventing an ancient iPhone. Well done. Before we go over the other card effects for Construct, let me quickly show you one more bonus you might have just unlocked. Whenever you remove the final beacon or fort from any column, you immediately gain the bonus listed at the bottom, which are draw a card, move a ship, gain any one influence, or this icon, which means that you take a die from your reserve, roll it, and place it in your workshop. I'll tell you about the workshop really soon, but for now, just know that it's one of the funnest parts of this game. Trust me. Besides bonuses for emptying columns, each empty row at the end of the game will award you with the number of points listed on the right. And with that out of the way, let's see what cool cards you can play into your Construct column. This card says that you get to draw a card every time you build a tower on top of an opponent's. And this one lets you move a soldier every time you build on top of an opponent's tower. These cards trigger whenever you place one or more beacons during your turn, and either grant you a ship movement or the placement of one soldier in the active region or the central region. And lastly, these effects allow you to break the constraints of the active region and build your tower elsewhere. If you discard the depicted card, you can trace a network or an unbroken chain of your towers from the active region to another place where you would like to build a tower. And that's the last major action. But before we move on, let me show you a sample turn. So with this action, I'm going to place a tower. Now this is my active region because I already took the invest action to place this die here, so I have to take my construct action here. However, I already have 4 towers here. So what I'm going to do is use the ability of this card, which allows me to discard a lead card to trace a network of towers from the active region somewhere else. So I'm going to trace along here so that I can place in this region, and I want to place on top of this helmet as it's the only place in this region where I don't already have a tower. Unfortunately, I don't have a helmet tower in my supply, so I'm going to use this ability to discard another lead card so that I can break the rules of matching the icon on the tower. I think I'll place this cool bow and arrow tower. A few of these card effects trigger when I place that tower, and I can resolve them in any order I'd like. Since I placed on top of an opponent's tower, I get to draw a card and move a soldier. I'm going to move this soldier from the central region to this region beside it. And since this was my 4th tower placed around this region, I get to place a beacon. I'll choose this one, which immediately gives me 1 gold influence, and since I completed this column, I get to draw another card. I get to put it face down on any one of the towers where I'm on top. I'll put it on this one. And lastly, since I placed a beacon this round, I get to move a ship. I'll move this one. So far we've covered prepare, invest, construct, and muster, which is the vast majority of your turn, and the rest happens fairly quickly. So before we move on, let's do a quick recap. In prepare, you have the chance to place new cards to your player board and manipulate the values of the dice in your supply and your workshop. You then choose 2 of 3 major actions to perform in a single region. Invest allows you to place a die in that region. Construct is where you build a tower around the region, potentially igniting a beacon. And muster lets you place and move soldiers and also construct forts. Easy. One important note is that you do your 2 major actions in any order you choose, but you have to completely resolve one before moving on to the next. No multitasking allowed. After that, it's on to the defend action. In this step, you need to first of all determine if there was a pirate invasion. If a province has 3 dice in it, which is 1 in each of its regions, there's an invasion. If no province is full of dice, there's no invasion and you skip this step. But if there is one, here's how you resolve it. First, place the invasion marker by that province as a reminder. Next, whichever player has the most influence in the mineral that was placed on this part of the board during setup can immediately move 1 soldier following the normal movement rules. If there's a tie, no one gains the benefit. After this, each player calculates their might in the province that's being invaded based on this chart at the top of the board. You gain 1 might for each die, tower, fort, and tent that you have in that province. However, your towers only count if they're not covered by another player's tower. You also gain 2 might for each soldier you have in that province. Players compare might totals, so it's basically a big flex off. And the player with the most might returns all their soldiers in that province to their barracks and gains 1 influence per ship in that province in its corresponding mineral type, as well as any benefits visible in uncovered ship spaces, such as drawing 1 card if there are less than 3 ships, and also gaining 1 influence in any mineral if there are no ships. All other players draw 1 card to their hand for each tower they have that is not covered by an opponent in that province, as well as 1 card per tent that they have there. They also leave their soldiers in place. Finally, all dice in that province are placed in the workshops of their respective owners, maintaining their current values. If there's ever a tie when calculating might, I obviously win. But seriously, the tied player whose next turn would have come sooner is considered to have more might. Here's an example of what defend could look like. The green province has a die in all 3 of its regions, so there's going to be an invasion, so I'll put the invasion marker nearby to signify that. The green player has the most lead influence, so they get 1 free soldier movement, so they're going to move this soldier right there. The blue player has 1, 2, 3 might, red has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 might, and green has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 might. Since green has the most, they get 1 silver influence, 1 lead influence, and they get to draw 1 card to their hand, and they remove all their soldiers from that province and return them to their barracks. The blue player gets to draw 1 card for this tower and 1 card for this tent, and the red player gets to draw 1, 2, 3, 4 cards for these towers. Now all of the dice in the province are returned to their owners' workshops. Whether there was an invasion or not, the current player must now place all of the dice in their workshop into these buildings on their player board in order to contribute to the construction of these magnificent structures. Each of these buildings has its own particular set of rules for how to place dice on them, such as the gate that requires all 6 dice to be unique. I'll let you discover each of these on your own, but there are 2 general rules for these buildings. First, anytime you cover up a benefit such as drawing a card or gaining influence, take that benefit immediately. And secondly, when placing dice, you need to start from the arrows at the bottom and work your way up. You can't simply start at the top of these structures. I mean, have you ever seen a house built starting with the roof? Yeah, me neither. As far as cards go, there is only 1 type of card that is placed into the defend column, and these are unique from other cards because rather than giving ongoing effects, they simply give you a one-time effect of placing a tent into the card's depicted province. When you play one of these cards, take your leftmost available tent and place it in any region in that province. There is no limit to the number of tents that can be in a single region, and these do not have to be placed in the active region from your turn. And now, onto your final action, Recoup, which is basically just the end of turn maintenance phase. This part of your player board tells you to draw back up to 2 dice and 2 towers in your supply. To gain a new tower, randomly select one, flip it face up, and place it into your supply. To gain a new die, take one from your reserve, roll it, and put it into your supply. And regardless of how many cards you already have, you now get to draw 2 more cards. The cards played to the Recoup column basically augment these abilities, with cards that add 1 to the number of towers you draw up to, increase the number of dice you draw up to, allow you to draw extra cards, and let you discard a card to draw even more cards. Here's a real-life rundown of the Recoup action. At the beginning of this Recoup phase, I have 2 towers and 1 die in my supply. Normally I would draw up to 2 towers, but because of this card, I draw up to 3. So I'll take 1 more and add it to my supply. I do still draw up to 2 dice because I don't have any cards to modify that, so I'll roll 1 and add it to my supply. Lastly, I would normally draw 2 cards, but because of these, I draw up to 4 cards, and if I discard a lead card, which I will, I get to draw a total of 6 cards. If there was an invasion, you need to move the ships that were in that province to new provinces. I mean, pirates will get bored if they just keep invading the same province over and over again. Starting with the first ship, move each ship 1 section clockwise, skipping any provinces that are full, and also with each ship skipping provinces where one of these ships just moved. For example, if this province was just invaded, the first ship would move here, the second ship would move up to here, and the third ship would go all the way around to here. After these ships have moved, draw a new ship from the bag, and if it's a mineral ship, place it onto the frontmost empty space of the province that was just invaded. However, if it's an ally ship, place it in the leftmost available space in this area of the main board. When the first ally ship is placed, each player draws a card for every 2 steps they progressed on the influence track of the mineral that is displayed here. If it's the second ship, each player draws a card for every 3 influence they have for this mineral. And if it's the third ship, the game ends immediately and you move into final scoring. The other way that the game can end is if you need to draw a ship during this phase, but the draw bag is empty. In this case, the game ends immediately as well. If the game end wasn't triggered during this recoup phase, the next player starts their turn moving through these exact same steps. Prepare, 2 major actions, defend, and recoup. Continue moving around the table in a clockwise order with players taking turns until you have placed the third ally ship or you're unable to draw a ship when needed. At this point, the game ends and it's time to see who wins. However, right before you tally up the scores, all players can retrieve any dice that they have on the board that are on their own forts and place them in their workshops. And then starting with the player who ended the game and then moving clockwise, each player can use all of the dice in their workshops to place into buildings. Once this is complete, players add up their scores. Here's how it works. If the third ally ship was placed, the player with the most influence in the mineral represented here gets 4 points and the player with the second most gets 2. If 2 players are tied for the most, they both get 3 points and no one gets the second place award. If 3 or 4 players are tied for the most, they each get 2 points and no second place is awarded. And finally, if 2 or more players are tied for second place, they each get 1 point. Now, if you're playing with only 2 players, second place is only awarded if that player is within 4 influence of the other player in that mineral. Now each player gets the number of points depicted under each of their influence markers, so this player would get 17 plus 11 plus 11 points. Gain points from any empty rows of beacons and forts on your player board, so this player would get 1 plus 3 points. You get 1 point for every 2 tents you've placed on the board, so this player here would receive 1 point for placing 3 tents. If you gained a scoring tile, you gain points based on its criteria, so this player would get 6 points for having 13 cards above their player board. And finally, add up the number of cards you have in hand, along with your soldiers on the board, and gain 1 point for every 4. This player has 7 cards left in their hand and 2 soldiers on the board, which would grant them 2 more points. The player with the most points wins, and they can rest assured that they are the least likely player at the table to be randomly attacked by pirates this week. The rest of the players should probably enroll in an online masterclass on tower building to up their skills. If there's a tie for points, the tied player whose next turn would have come soonest is the winner. And that's Towers of Sifnos. No rulebook required, just some strategic tower stacking and pirate dodging. There's also a solo mode available for this game, which you can read up on in the rulebook, so hopefully you didn't actually rip it to pieces. If anything's unclear or you have questions about gameplay, drop a comment below and I'll reply to you right away. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. If this helped you dive into Towers of Sifnos, please hit subscribe and click the little bell for more Rip Up the Rules and other board game content. Also, check out this video's description for the Board Game Geek link to the Towers of Sifnos page to find all kinds of other info about this game. Thanks for rolling with me today. May your beacons burn bright and your pirates stay broke. See you next time.